For 10 years, Alara had been my entire world. I had her favorite flower, the gardenia, tattooed just below my collarbone as what I thought was a permanent symbol of a love that was just as enduring. She had finally, after all this time, agreed to marry me. But while I was planning a life with her, she was keeping an 18-year-old boy on the side, a secret shadow in the wings of our life. She was indulging him in what she saw as a dramatic breakup countdown, a series of grand farewell gestures like bungee jumping, skiing, and even a trip to Iceland to see the northern lights. What she didn't know was that I was on a countdown of my own, one that had nothing to do with our wedding. I wasn't going to live much longer. I had already booked a one-way ticket to leave the country, donated all the assets she had put in my name, and had the ink of her favorite flower painfully lasered from my skin. While she was counting down the days to our wedding, I was counting down the days until I left her for good. The plan to leave her solidified the same day a doctor told me I had late-stage stomach cancer. It was on that same fateful day that Alara's young lover found me. He approached me with a sincerity that was almost frightening. "Brother," he began, biting his lip nervously, "I know you're getting married soon, but Alara doesn't love you anymore." I already knew I was just a placeholder for a memory she cherished, but I let him continue. "I've been with her for a year now," he confessed, his voice a mixture of guilt and misplaced pride. "We've slept together 78 times, 53 times in a hotel, 21 at my place and 4 times at your place, in your bed. If she still loved you, I wouldn't exist." I found the whole situation darkly amusing. I lit a cigarette, the smoke curling between us as I looked at him. "What else?" I asked, my voice calm. "Keep going." He pulled out his phone and played a video for me. The angle was clumsy, clearly filmed in secret. In the video, the boy, Alex, was crying in Alara's arms. "Even if you have to marry him out of some sense of responsibility, can you please not leave me?" he pleaded. Alara pushed him away and tossed a bank card at him. "Find a stable girl," she said, her voice dismissive. "Being with me is no good for you. It's too dangerous." But he wouldn't let go, wrapping his arms around her waist and whining like a child. "I'm not afraid of danger. Please don't leave me, Alara. I promise I won't be a burden." She paused, her gaze sweeping over his tear-streaked face for a long moment before she leaned in and kissed him. I stubbed out my cigarette. The kid was the picture of youthful innocence, all fresh-faced with that collagen-rich skin. The moment I saw him, I recognized it. He looked a lot like me, or at least like the 18-year-old version of myself. "You're right," I said, standing up from my chair. A sharp pain jabbed at my stomach, but I hid it by leaning against the table for support. "If Alara still loved me, you wouldn't be here. But don't get too attached. She doesn't love you any more than she loves me. She only loves the Leo from her memories, the pure, untainted boy who died helping her climb her way up in this world. In a few years, she'll find another replacement for that memory, and you'll end up in a much worse place than I am." It was a lie, of course. I was on my way out of this world. How could he possibly end up worse than me? The worst he could expect was to be unceremoniously dumped when Alara grew bored of him. She had found me when I was 18. I had no parents, and the grandmother who had raised me passed away when I was 15, leaving me utterly alone. That's when Alara entered my life. She pursued me with a fierce intensity, spending money on me as if it were water, showering me with everything the world had to offer. She was beautiful and made me feel a sense of security I had never known. I fell for her quickly and completely. On my 19th birthday, she introduced me to her world, a night that spiraled from pain into indulgence, and we became one. The very next day, she took me to meet her crew. I had never been in a situation like that before, and I clung to her shirt, quietly greeting people whose eyes were filled with mockery. "Elara, why'd you pick such a young boy?" one of them sneered. "He's too obedient. He'll just hold you back." I didn't understand what they meant by holding her back then. I whispered to her, "I won't be a burden. I never will be." But as I became more familiar with Elara's world, I began to understand the life she led, always living on the edge of danger. To avoid holding her back, to truly stand by her side, I had to force myself to become a part of that world. Over the next 10 years, I cut my hair, dyed it countless times, started smoking, and collected tattoos and scars. I became ruthless enough to not only survive, but to thrive by her side, helping her rise through the ranks. Yet, through it all, Elara never seemed truly happy. There were countless nights she would hold me, her fingers gently tracing the lines of my scars before she would kiss them. "Leo," she would whisper, burying her head in my chest with a heavy sigh. "I still love the old you." I would push her away, light a cigarette, and laugh. "Elara, you have no conscience saying something like that." One night, Elara came home late, just as the sky was beginning to lighten with the dawn. I had been lying in bed, wide awake in the darkness, waiting for her. She slipped in beside me and hugged me from behind. "You're still awake?" she murmured, her lips brushing my cheek. She paused, then hugged me tighter. "Who upset you? Tell me and I'll go beat them up." I could smell the faint scent of gardenias on her, not her usual perfume. "We should break up," I said quietly into the darkness. She froze, her arms falling away from me as she rolled onto her side. "What's wrong now?" she asked. Her voice tinged with exhaustion. "Stop being so dramatic. What do you mean, break up?" She let out a short, humorless chuckle. "Leo, you're not getting any younger. Who's going to marry a man who smokes, drinks, has tattoos, and lives a ruthless life?" My chest ached, a deep, pressing pain that I couldn't seem to stop. I remembered last year, when I had to have my arm stitched up. I was allergic to the anesthesia, and I had to endure 12 stitches, biting down on my own fist to keep from screaming. But Elara's drunken, truthful words brought tears to my eyes. I couldn't help but ask the question that had been haunting me. "Elara, if I were terminally ill, would you—" She cut me off, her voice sharp with annoyance. "Stop asking such silly questions. If you were really sick, we'd die together, okay?" She rubbed her forehead. "I'm so busy with the wedding and business right now, I don't need any more drama." Just then, her phone rang. She hung up, annoyed, but the calls persisted. After a few rings, she got out of bed, phone in hand. I could faintly hear the sound of a young man's cries coming through the speaker. Elara cursed under her breath. "So annoying," she muttered, yet she hurried out of the room. "It's a business issue. I'll handle it. Get some rest and don't wait up for me. Our wedding is set for the 3rd of next month. We'll keep it simple." The doctor had told me it was late stage, essentially incurable. I never told Elara. I also never intended to marry her. I could accept everything about her life, her past, her dangerous world, but I could not accept betrayal. The mere thought of her holding another man, kissing his face, and searching for a younger version of me in his eyes made my stomach churn with a sickness that had nothing to do with the cancer. I got together with Elara when I was 18, and it had now been 10 years. The doctor said I had about 6 months left to live. Looking back, I realized I had wasted a significant portion of my life on her. For the time I had left, I just wanted to be myself. To be Leo again. I booked a flight abroad, wanting to see the parts of this world I loved but had never had the chance to visit. The flight was scheduled for the 3rd of next month, our supposed wedding day. This morning, I crossed another day off the calendar on my wall. There were only 10 days left until I was free. I heard the door open behind me, and Alara walked in, bundled up against the cold. She took off her coat and wrapped her arms around me from behind. She still wasn't a fan of my short hair. Her eyes followed my gaze to the calendar, and she saw the large red circle around the 3rd of the month. She chuckled, pinching my cheek playfully. "Can't wait to marry me, huh?" she teased, counting the remaining days. 10 days left. Burying her face in my neck, she suggested, "Over the next few days we can dye your hair back to black. You'll look so handsome at the wedding." I stared stoically at the calendar. "No need," I said. "There's not much time left. This is good enough." Alara paused for a moment, then agreed. She let go of me and picked up her coat from the chair. "There's a lot to do for the wedding, and I've got some trouble at work. I probably won't be back for a while." As she spoke, she watched me, likely waiting for me to object or give in. But I just looked back at her coldly. "Go ahead," I said. "It's only 10 days anyway." She didn't say anything else. She simply walked out into the night without a backward glance. With 7 days left until my departure, I went to a tattoo parlor on the outskirts of the city. The owner was a woman in her 30s. She looked well kept, but carried a certain weariness in her eyes. "What are you getting done?" she asked, glancing at me. I rolled up my sleeve and pointed to Alara's initials on my wrist, then gestured to the gardenia flower below my collarbone. "Erase them both," I said. She looked at the tattoos. "It's going to hurt to get them removed, and they'll definitely leave scars." I chuckled. "I'm not scared of pain. Pain is the least of my worries these days. As for scars, my body is already covered in them. What are 2 more? Besides, in half a year, this body might just be dust anyway." The owner, whose name I learned was Clara, asked, "Breaking up?" I smiled. "Yeah, almost. 7 days more." She clicked her tongue. "That's very ceremonial, counting down to a breakup." Perhaps it was the quiet atmosphere of the shop, or maybe I just felt a connection with her, but I found it easy to talk to her, as if we were kindred spirits. I told her about the past, about how I had given Alara a deadline when she was chasing me. 300 days. If she lasted that long, I told her I would be with her. Alara used to count down every day. "Leo, only 179 days left until you're mine," she'd exclaim. "Only 1 day left. You're almost my boyfriend." A girl who spent 300 consecutive days just to win me over. In the decade that followed, I gradually lost myself. During the painful process of tattoo removal, I recounted the stories behind the ink. The one on my wrist I got after we had been together for a year. I had been kidnapped by her enemies and used as leverage against her. Alara had almost sacrificed herself to save me. As soon as I was out of the hospital, I had her initials tattooed on my wrist, naively believing she would be my forever. But when I eagerly showed her my new tattoo, her reaction wasn't what I had hoped for. She was surprised, but only asked why I had done it and if it had hurt. Then she hugged me and said, "Don't do it again. I don't like seeing you get hurt. You're great as you are, a clean, flawless Leo." Back then, I thought she was just being caring, but in reality she was just being honest. The gardenia on my chest I got when Alara promised to marry me when I turned 28. She adored gardenias, always loving their pure, delicate nature. So I tattooed one over my heart, waiting for the day she would finally be my wife. Now, as she had finally set a wedding date for this year, my 28th year, I was planning my escape. Even if this body wouldn't last much longer, I didn't want any of her marks left on it. Pointing to my other collarbone, I told Clara to tattoo a trumpet vine there. Alara loved gardenias, but I had always preferred trumpet vines. She wished for me to be unblemished, Yet in my final days, I chose to be a proud, climbing vine. Walking out of the shop, the evening had settled in. On my way home, I passed a cotton candy stand and couldn't help but stop. It had been ages since I'd had one, probably not since I was a little kid. Back then, my grandma would give me a few coins for a treat, calling me a greedy kid as I devoured the sugary cloud. Her face was always full of smiles and warmth. As I passed a street corner, a little girl exclaimed loudly, "Mom, look, that guy is so cool! But why is he eating cotton candy? Isn't that for kids?" Her mom laughed. "Who says only kids can eat cotton candy? Anyone can. Sweet things make people happy." I continued walking, the little girl's voice trailing behind me. "But why doesn't he look happy after eating that sweet candy, Mom? He looks kind of lonely." Her voice faded as I reached my apartment. The cotton candy was gone, leaving only a sticky residue on my hands. I washed them as soon as I got inside. Not long after, Ilara called. She sounded a bit tipsy. "Leo," she said, her voice smiling on the other end of the line. "Just 7 more days and you're marrying me. Do you want to go pick out a wedding dress tomorrow?" I replied flatly, "You decide." There was a moment of silence on her end, and then I could vaguely hear a man's voice, playfully whining in the background. "Ilara, let me come with you to try on dresses. Don't you want to see me in wedding clothes?" After a long pause, Ilara's hoarse voice replied, "Okay." I wasn't sure if she was responding to me or to the boy beside her. I woke up and crossed off another day on the calendar. Just 6 days left. Today I was going to a concert. I changed my clothes, washed up, and even put on some makeup. I felt a bit unwell, a dull ache in my stomach, but it was manageable. The reflection in the mirror showed me wearing one of Ilara's least favorite outfits, a short skirt that showed off my skinny limbs. A peaceful smile settled on my face as I finally made peace with all the ugly scars that marred my skin. And there, under my right collarbone, a Chinese trumpet vine was in full bloom. The concert was packed, and I joined the crowd, singing along at the top of my lungs. My proud destruction, my hated ordinariness. The lyrics reminded me of everything I loved and lost. I must have been too caught up in the music because I only realized how much pain I was in after the song ended. I gripped my seat, silently enduring the sharp cramps in my stomach. Suddenly, a carton of warm milk was offered to me. The stomachache made me glance up. It was a young woman with a kind face, wearing a creamy white down jacket. "Stomachache?" she asked with a gentle smile. "The milk's warm. It might help." I took the milk, the warmth in my hands driving away some of the coldness inside me. "Thank you," I said. During the song break, she shook her head. "It's nothing. My boyfriend loved helping people. He'd be really happy to know I shared this with you." I looked at the empty seat next to her. "Did your boyfriend have something come up and couldn't make it?" She smiled, but her eyes quickly filled with a thin layer of frost. "He passed away. I'm here for him, to watch the concert for him." The milk I had just drunk felt like a rock in my throat. "I'm sorry." "It's no problem," she replied as the music started again. Everyone was eagerly watching the stage for the lucky audience member draw. The big screen flashed quickly through a sea of faces. When it finally paused, I saw myself on the screen. The photographer seemed to think that the girl beside me and I were a couple, and people around us started calling for us to kiss. She quickly pulled out a photo and held it up to the camera. It was a picture of her boyfriend, Noah. A microphone was handed to me, and for a moment I was at a loss for words. In the end, I just wished softly, "I hope more people see you and love you. I wish you all the best." I didn't know what else to say, so I added, "I wish everyone here a long and healthy life." Some people in the audience laughed, probably not understanding why my wishes were so simple and vague. The camera moved on as the next song began. I saw the girl beside me gently cradling the picture, her eyes red. "I wish you a long life too, Noah," she whispered. In that moment, for some unexplainable reason, I wanted to cry too. After the concert, I forced myself to go home. I had forgotten to close the window that morning, and the apartment was freezing. I shut the window, took a hot shower, and collapsed onto the bed. I was scrolling through a short video platform when a video from a possible acquaintance popped up. The user ID was Alex. In the video, he was wearing a white suit, and the woman beside him had her face blurred out. His eyes held an innocent look that barely concealed an ambitious desire. The caption read, "Countdown, 6 days until my girlfriend marries someone else. I wish this moment could last forever." On screen, Elara was gently hugging his waist, her touch tender. Countdown, 5 days. Today I felt surprisingly okay. I woke up early and did something significant. I donated all of Elara's savings, which she had entrusted to me over the years. She may have betrayed me emotionally, but she had never held back when it came to our life together. Almost all of her earnings were in my accounts, leaving herself just enough for daily expenses. I made the donation in her name, figuring it was her money, so she should get some karmic credit for it. As for my own savings, I donated half, keeping the rest to spend in my final days. Nearing the end of your life is an incredibly painful experience, so I knew I had to keep a backup plan. I couldn't let myself endure even more suffering while also running out of money before I died. Unexpectedly, right after leaving the charity institution, my vision went black, and I passed out on the sidewalk. I woke up in a hospital bed. A nurse told me they had tried calling my emergency contact multiple times using my phone, but no one had answered. My only emergency contact was Elara. "Sorry," I said. "I'll go downstairs to pay the bill later." The doctor strongly urged me to stay in the hospital, explaining that without treatment I might not even last the full 6 months. I smiled and asked, "And if I do get treatment?" He replied sternly, "I can't guarantee how the disease will progress, but as long as there's a sliver of hope, we will try our best." So even with treatment, my chances were slim. "Thank you, doctor, but please help me with the discharge papers." Just as I walked out of the doctor's office, Elara's call came in. I was busy and didn't hear the phone. "What's up?" she asked. I watched a familiar figure walking down the hall. "Nothing," I replied. "My phone got lost, and some kind stranger helped me dial my emergency contact." "Glad it's fine. Do you need anything for the wedding?" "No." Another bout of silence, and then I heard Alex's displeased whining in the background. "Hurry up. The ice cream's melting." Elara spoke again. "Call me anytime." The call ended. I frowned at the person not far away, recognizing her as Clara, the owner of the tattoo shop. She was picking up her wig, which had been knocked off by a passing kid. She looked up, and our eyes met. "It's you," she said, recognizing me as well. She adjusted her wig and continued walking. "I didn't mention it last time, but we're quite alike, you and I. Both of us are short-timers." She smiled. "That day I was planning to close the shop for good. You were my last customer." "What's your illness?" I asked. "Leukemia," she replied, her tone carefree. We were indeed two unfortunate souls. We smiled at each other, watching the smoke from my cigarette drift away with the wind, much like our own impending ends. I changed my flight. I wasn't going overseas anymore. I booked a new flight with Clara. My health simply wouldn't handle the long journey across the Atlantic. Maybe it was destiny, or maybe I just wasn't meant to see those foreign sights in this lifetime. We were both unlucky in life, and we instantly clicked on one thing. We both wanted to see the ocean one last time. Last night, Alex posted a new video. "Just 5 days left. Thank you for braving your fear and going bungee jumping with me. I love you too. In the video, Elara and he were strapped together with safety ropes, standing on a platform 100 meters high. They embraced and jumped. She was visibly stiff, a clear sign of her fear of heights. But as they leaped, she shouted at the top of her lungs, "I love you!" With 4 days left until the wedding, Clara asked me if there was anything I wanted to do. After thinking for a bit, I asked her to go see someone with me. On the way, Clara asked, "Is he a friend of yours?" I shook my head. "Quite the opposite. He's kind of my nemesis." Clara raised an eyebrow, but didn't ask any more questions. She also went with me to a flower shop to order a large bouquet of roses. Victor is the toughest guy in the East End, managing a string of bars. He's tough on others, and even tougher on himself. We've been fighting, both openly and secretly, for years, with neither of us ever really gaining the upper hand. As soon as I entered the bar with Clara, we were stopped. "Leo?" someone called out. Victor frowned at me. "What are you here for again?" "To curse you out, you old man," I said. His expression immediately changed, and he launched into a tirade of curses. I listened to him for a good half hour, and it actually felt pretty good. After he was done, I grabbed a drink from the bar and took a sip. I wanted another, but Clara stopped me. A taste is enough. I reluctantly waved at Victor. "All right, I'm leaving. You better settle down sooner or later. Otherwise, how will you have the energy to find a girlfriend?" As I walked out of the bar, I could still hear Victor bewilderedly asking his men, "Damn, did he just come here to curse at me for half an hour? Is he crazy or what?" I looked back just in time to see him kicking one of his sidekicks. Did I lose just now? I didn't even do my best. I chuckled and left. Maybe it was because I was dying, but my lifelong nemesis suddenly seemed kind of cute. On the way home, my phone buzzed. Victor had sent me a picture of a bouquet of roses. "Is this from you?" "Yeah." There was a pause for nearly 2 minutes before more messages started coming in. "What's with the flowers? Little girls like flowers. Why would I care about this?" "You didn't hide a bomb in them, did you?" "Leo, don't think you can make peace just by sending some flowers." "It's not the first time I'm receiving flowers." "The flowers are quite nice, thanks." "Let's have a meal sometime." I looked at my phone, smiled, and slowly typed back, "Sure, if there's a chance." In the evening, Alex updated his video again. "Just 4 days left. I hate to part. Let's go skiing. I love how you protect me. It reminds me of my mom." In the video, Alex fell on the snow from a height, and someone who was clearly Elara skidded down and shielded him with her body. Over the past few days, their video series had gained some traction, with many followers eagerly waiting for more updates. "Why? Why must lovers part?" one comment read. "The girl's body language shows she loves him. Why marry someone else? Is she being forced by her family?" "Oh my God, the guy looks like he's holding back tears." "What, you're shipping them without thinking? Isn't she about to get married? Yet she's playing breakup countdown with an ex. Just lock it down and leave the groom alone." The comment section was a battlefield of debates. But more than that, people were gearing up to find out how it would all end in 4 days. I wasn't keen on their melodrama and skipped the video, ending up liking a clip of some beautiful woman dancing instead. 3 days to go. I treated my friends to a meal. They were all clueless, just thinking it was my bachelor party. Bottle after bottle was emptied, and the atmosphere only got livelier. We talked about all the years we had spent together. Someone inevitably brought up Elara and me. "Actually, Elara truly loves you." "Really?" The person who spoke, a guy named Jake, was nearly all skin and bones. Once, Elara got drunk and cried for ages, saying she blames herself for not protecting you properly. She said sometimes she doesn't even dare to go home, afraid of seeing you, scared of remembering that it was her fault you ended up this way." He sighed. "But after thinking long and hard, I decided I had to tell you, Leo. Alara has a guy on the outside." Someone next to him kicked him under the table. "How much have you had to drink, man?" "Bro, he's drunk. I'll take him home. You guys keep drinking." Jake was dragged away by someone, and no one believed what he had said, dismissing it as drunken nonsense. Everyone at the table started gossiping about how much Alara loved me. Someone even dared to call Alara with some liquid courage. "What's up? Speak up!" Alara's voice came through the speaker. It was teasing, with a tint of breathlessness that rose slightly at the end. I felt my heart sink. I knew that tone all too well. It was the sound she made after she had released her desires. "Leo's treating us to a feast! It's been ages since we saw you!" someone shouted. Everyone followed up. "Alara, are you busy now? Come over for a drink!" Alara paused for a couple of seconds. "I'm tied up here. You guys go ahead and drink. Take care of Leo for me. Make sure he drinks less, and get a couple of guys to take him home safely when it's over." "Got it." The call ended. Everyone sighed. "Bro, see? Alara cares a lot about you. We single guys have to endure all this love." I kept silent and sipped some juice. It was room temperature, but as I swallowed, I felt a dull ache in my stomach. I had forgotten to bring my pain meds and was having a hard time. I stepped outside to get some fresh air. It was then that I noticed it had started snowing. Leaning against a streetlight, I impulsively opened Alex's short video account. Maybe hearing so much about Alara just now had made me desperately curious about what they were doing. 5 minutes ago, Alex had just posted a new video. He and she were standing side by side, with a dazzling aurora borealis dancing in the sky above them. 3-day breakup countdown. To fulfill my wish, she flew me to Iceland overnight to see the aurora. The aurora is beautiful, but not as beautiful as her. But what can I do? She's about to not be mine anymore. Whatever, God, don't worry about me. Just let her be happy. I'll be fine. In just 5 minutes, the video's likes had shot up to nearly 1,000 and were still climbing. I'm crying my eyes out. God, don't worry about me. Just let them be happy. This is the first time I've ever hated the main girl. Seriously, did that groom save the bride's whole family or something? Speechless. There's a bunch of love-struck fools in the comments. I stared at the aurora in the video, mesmerized by its beauty. I remembered curling up on the couch with Alara, watching a documentary about it on TV with envy. Alara, promise me, once you've made enough money, you'll take me to see the aurora, okay? Sure, she had answered softly. I'll definitely take you there. Snowflakes fell on my eyelashes, making my vision blurry. I blinked, and the snow melted. But the person holding hands with her while watching the aurora was not the 19-year-old Leo. The day before the wedding, I got a call from Alara early in the morning. Tomorrow's the wedding, she said, her voice sounding a bit tired. Are you nervous? Not really. Have you been busy lately? Miss me? Not really. Another silence fell between us. She murmured, I know you've been upset with me lately. Tomorrow I'll give you a big surprise at the wedding, okay? Okay. After hanging up, I headed out. I flagged down a cab and went straight to the cemetery. My dad, my mom, and my grandma were all buried there. Soon enough, it would be my final resting place, too. Thinking about it, if I could reunite with my family in the afterlife, death didn't seem so scary. In fact, I almost looked forward to it. If Grandma saw me, she'd probably raise her hand to scold me, fussing at me for not listening to her and for coming to join her so soon. But she wouldn't really hit me, just a playful pat on my shoulder before pulling me into a tight hug. She would ask if her Leo had been bullied out there, if he was sick and hurting. Where does it hurt? Grandma will make it better. Leo, don't be scared. Grandma's here to bring you home. Is Grandma lonely down there? Is her son taking good care of her? I stood up, massaging my stiff legs, getting ready to leave. I thought for a bit, then turned back. Right. No need to protect Alara anymore. She's a jerk. She didn't take good care of me. I swept the dust off the tombstone. See you later, Grandma. I bought a large bag of cat food and went to visit a stray cat I had been feeding for a long time. Meow. I was surprised when the cat rubbed up against my pant leg. It was usually distant and never affectionate, but maybe it sensed that this was a farewell and was showing some warmth for the first time. It nuzzled my hand gently, as if to say, "Could you stay?" "Eat up, eat plenty," I said, stroking its head. "We probably won't meet again. This food should last you a long time." This cat had once been taken in by people who treated it well, but after just a few days, it had chosen to escape and wander the streets again. It refused to be caged. Before I left, I lit up a cigarette, looking down at the cat. "Goodbye, little cat. I hope you stay free." On my way home, someone called out to me. "Leo!" I immediately recognized her. It was Victoria, an old classmate I hadn't seen in years. Back in school, everyone knew she had a crush on me, but she never confessed, and I pretended not to notice. "You remember me?" she asked, looking genuinely happy. "You haven't changed much." "You have, but I still recognize you." "Of course," she said, looking at me with bright eyes. "You're just like you were back then. You haven't changed a bit." How could that be? The smile that broke across my face was bitter. Sometimes even I didn't recognize myself anymore. Being with Alara had been tough. Over the years, I had forced myself to fit into her world until I was unrecognizable. But Victoria seemed unchanged. Whenever she smiled, it was sincere and warm, a rarity for someone in their 30s who still retained that youthful vibe. She looked at me earnestly. "Recognizing someone isn't about their clothes, it's in their eyes. Leo, you haven't changed. You just got a new look, and it suits you." Those few words rooted me to the spot. I haven't changed. I just got a new look. "Thanks," I said. When we parted ways, she said, "Let's meet up again sometime." I said, "Sure," but I was lying to her. We probably shouldn't meet again. The next time she saw me, I might be a ghost, which was a bit ominous. Everything was packed up. The gifts Alara had given me were either tossed if they were cheap or sold for a low price online if they were expensive. Without the sentiment attached to them, those gifts meant nothing to me. I didn't have many personal belongings, barely enough to fill one suitcase. I burned the rest. Eventually, all your stuff gets burned when you pass away, so doing it early or later doesn't really make a difference. As it got darker, I walked away from what I had once considered my home, dragging my suitcase behind me without a single look back. That night at the hotel where Alara was staying, she sent me a message in the middle of the night. "See you tomorrow. After all these years, I'm finally marrying you." I didn't reply. By then I was already sitting in the airport lounge with Clara. I caught Alex's final video. Alara, the leading lady, showed up. She helped him plant a tree, and they created a wish jar together. The papers in the jar held their dreams. The camera zoomed in on her wish. A life free of worries. Alex's wish was, "I hope Alara and I never have to part." After following them all this time, it really ended badly. I broke down crying. Can't they really be together? Whoever you are, new groom, if you have any conscience, let them be. How did I see this if I blocked them? Whatever, stupid couple. Reflect. Jerk. I closed the video and threw my SIM card into the trash can. Meanwhile, the boarding announcement echoed through the terminal. Clara and I walked to the gate together without looking back. We were headed to a beautiful, quiet place. Clara and I helped each other up a snowy mountain. Honestly, we didn't even make it halfway up. For two sickly people, making it even that far was all we had in us. But we still saw the breathtakingly beautiful scenery from where we were. We went for some mushroom hot pot afterward. It was pretty tasty, but after just 2 bites, I threw it all up. Such a waste. Clara ate a lot, saying she would eat more for me. We also rode elephants and saw the ocean. It was so beautiful that Clara and I almost felt like jumping in together. Just as we were about to, an auntie nearby stopped us. "What are you two doing?" she said with a thick northeast accent, blocking our way. "You two are so handsome. What's so bad in life that you can't get through it?" She gave us some good advice, telling us to keep living. "Living is the most important thing," she said. "Everything else is just nonsense." She even had candy, real sweet stuff. "Cheer up," she said, pressing the candy into our hands. "Eat some candy and don't have any more crazy thoughts. Your parents would be heartbroken if they knew." The auntie was really kind. Clara and I immediately ate the candy and promised not to do anything stupid. She finally left, turning back several times to check on us. The candy was so sweet that we suddenly lost the courage for anything rash. We decided to listen to her and live well. For every day you live, you gain a day. It can't be a loss, right? I heard that Alara completely lost it at the wedding. Tons of messages blew up my old number, but I didn't check any of them, except for one from Victoria. She sent me a video of the wedding. Alara was on stage in a beautiful wedding dress, looking all gentle and serene. But when the doors opened, no groom was there. Her smile stiffened awkwardly. Victoria's camera zoomed in on her face, catching every bit of her shock, panic, and fear. "Where is Leo?" she yelled from the stage. "Where is he? Bring him back to me." She had almost all of her friends out hunting for me, but they found nothing. Someone nervously asked her, "Did the video of you and that guy get out?" She froze. "What video? Aren't they all censored?" Someone handed her a phone showing Alex's last video, saying they had just stumbled upon it yesterday. The previous ones had been censored, but not the latest one. Alara grabbed the phone, her face turning a ghostly pale, and then she smashed it to pieces. When the video ended, Victoria texted me, "Wow, you really pulled a big one." Then she asked, "Where are you? Be honest, do you have a terminal illness?" I didn't reply to her. She was spot on. Victoria is pretty smart. She probably figured something was up, but she kept sending me more videos anyway. "Chaos has erupted!" Alara stormed through the reception hall with red eyes, smashing screens and flipping tables. The woman seemed to have gone mad, until she was exhausted, and finally crouched by the stage, hanging her head as if she was crying. In the video, Victoria's unfiltered voice could be heard. "I used to think you had good taste in women. Now, looking at her, Leo, she's really the kind of ex you'd never want to claim." Clara and I rented a place by the ocean. We also hired a local housekeeper. She was a bit chubby, but really kind and super efficient. She was always nagging us about how skinny we were, saying it was heartbreaking to look at us. So she put all her effort into cooking up a storm for us every day. I couldn't really eat anymore, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I would force down a couple of bites at each meal and then spend ages throwing it all up in the bathroom. My reflection in the mirror was getting skinnier and skinnier. My cheeks were starting to hollow out, which made my eyes seem bigger. "Clara?" I called her over. "Do I have that bony beauty thing going on now?" She stood next to me, also looking terribly thin. She laughed. "I'm about the same. We look like a pair of skeletal soulmates." I saw Ilara's short video. She had always hated showing her face online, but this time she was anxiously looking straight at the camera. "Leo, if you see this video, please don't swipe away." She looked worn out, with bloodshot eyes, not an ounce of her past glamour left. "Where are you? Can I come find you?" she asked. I only regret two things in my life. One was getting with a guy who looked like you, indulging in a desire I never truly felt. I never loved him. Every minute I was with him, I was thinking of you, of how you were when you were 18. The other regret was dragging you down all those years ago. Her eyes were red, trying to hold back tears, but her voice still trembled. I've always hated myself for not protecting you. I couldn't listen anymore. I swiped the video away. Clara was next to me, listening with disgust, constantly asking me if I would ever forgive her. Of course not, I said. I swiped through more videos. Unless she follows me to my death, I joked. But even if Alara did follow me to my death, I wouldn't forgive her. She was too dirty. Alara's video blew up. She and Alex quickly became infamous on social media, the new symbols of untrustworthy people. Everyone had thought that some powerful groom was forcing Alara into a marriage, and that her videos with Alex were all just a way to break up with a bang. But they weren't expecting this twist. What about the groom's 10 years of love? What about my tears these past few days? Being a homewrecker like that? What a storyline. That guy was my middle school classmate. He was always playing innocent with that face, secretly stealing his friends' girlfriends and bullying other boys. Just downright nasty. Finally, the disgusting couple got their comeuppance. Such a relief! No one's firing at me now, right? Soon, Alex's entire history was exposed. His past misdeeds spread like wildfire in the comment sections, with former classmates tearing him apart. Alex and Alara's photos were turned into all sorts of memes, each one full of foul language. It even spawned a new catchphrase, "Don't be too Alex." Compared to Alara, he was just a kid with no backing. His address was easily found, and local do-gooders began camping outside his house. Their home was on the ground floor, and every night people would bang on their windows. Whenever he went outside, people would call him a homewrecker. They threw rotten eggs into his room and splashed paint on his front door. His whole family became a laughingstock in the neighborhood. I heard that Alex got depression from it all, locking himself in his room, obsessively reading the hate comments online, and breaking down, crying, then screaming and smashing things. Alara had dumped him because of that viral video. There was some talk that he had even been beaten up pretty badly. The poor kid ended up being carried home by someone. It was all over the internet. Later on, Alex completely lost it. He spent his days in his room, crying and laughing, holding on to a giant stuffed bear he had named Alara. 2 months passed, and his parents ended up taking him to a mental hospital. Someone snapped a photo of him at the hospital entrance. In the picture, he looked nothing like his innocent past self. His hair was a mess, and he was acting erratically. He had gotten so thin you could barely recognize him, and when he looked at people, it was with a constant look of fear. People online seemed pretty happy with this outcome. They were all saying things like, "Serves him right," and "Finally, some justice." They were just waiting for the girl's karma, wondering why she got to hide away. Rumor had it she was a real troublemaker, and some folks were wishing the worst for her. As for me, I might have just been unlucky. The doctor had told me I had about 6 months to live, yet here I was, only 2 months in, and my body was already starting to give up on me. The day after Clara and I rode the elephants, I couldn't even get out of bed. We had agreed that there would be no more treatments, but Clara, her eyes all red, ended up taking me to the hospital anyway. She was panicking. They rushed me to the emergency room. When I came out, I saw Clara, her eyes bloodshot. "You scared the hell out of me," she said. She tried to take out a cigarette, but then she remembered we were in a hospital and stopped herself. In the hospital room, we looked at each other for a long moment, and then we both started laughing. Isn't it funny how complicated people are? Two people who thought they were ready to laugh in the face of death ended up freaking out when it came knocking at the door. Nobody's ever really ready to let go. You can't fight fate. Clara touched the flower tattoo on my collarbone, and though she was smiling, she couldn't stop the tears from falling. "This is my last piece," she said, "and you're taking it with you so soon, you jerk." "Well," she laughed, "at least the one who leaves first has no worries." She added, "Don't worry. I'll take your ashes back and bury them behind your grandma's grave. That way you can all be together again, okay? Hey, wait for me down there, and we'll be reborn together." Clara's perspective. Leo died. He passed away in a place where it's always spring. He always said I was a free spirit. I didn't cry when he died, but when they pushed him into the crematorium, when I saw the flames consume him, I just couldn't hold it together anymore. That was Leo. One day he was laughing and coaxing me into taking my medicine, and the next, he was gone, taken by those flames. When he came out, he was just some ashes in a tiny box. Our housekeeper, the auntie, was heartbroken, crying her eyes out. She kept mumbling, "If only I knew he was that sick, I could have cooked him some lighter meals. I should have made him more soup, right?" She choked up. "Just a couple of mornings ago, I raised my voice at him, telling him to wear a coat. Do you think he thought I was being too harsh?" "Auntie," I said, holding back my own tears. "He was only 28, even younger than my own son by a year." Holding Leo's urn, I couldn't help but tear up. He always felt that he wasn't living as purely as his grandma had wanted him to. He never realized what a great person he truly was. He only knew that even the housekeeper, who had only known him for 2 months, cried until she could hardly breathe. On the plane ride home, I whispered, looking out at the clouds, "Leo, we're going home." I buried him behind his grandma's grave. Now his grandma can watch over him. We had taken his photo ahead of time for his memorial. He had short hair, clear eyes, and a bright smile for the camera. I left some flowers at his grave and whispered to him, "You're definitely the most handsome ghost in this cemetery." I cleaned up around his grandma's grave, too, and poured some wine for her. "Grandma, I brought Leo to you. Don't be mad that he's here so soon. He couldn't take the pain anymore. In the end, he was hurting so much. He doesn't have to bear that pain or swallow down all those pain meds now." As I was leaving, the sky began to drizzle. Holding an umbrella, I walked out of the cemetery and ran into someone. It was a woman I had never met in person, but whose name I knew all too well. Elara. I hesitated for a moment, pretending not to recognize her, but she stopped me. She fixed her eyes on me and said in a raspy voice, "I've seen your photo. Your name's Clara. I checked the flight information, and you and Leo left together. I looked everywhere for Leo, but I couldn't find him." Realizing something, she began to shake and looked over my shoulder toward the cemetery. "What are you doing here?" I met her gaze and said, one word at a time, "I'm here to say goodbye to Leo." She stumbled back, her eyes instantly turning red. "Leo's dead? He died in my arms." Elara froze. This woman, who was said to be so cold and ruthless, was now shedding tears. "Where is he?" "Leo didn't want to see you. If you're here to cry, do it from a distance. Let him and his grandma have their peace." I didn't hide Leo's death from her. She would have found out anyway. Leo's grave is right behind his grandma's. Anytime she went to visit, she would see it. But I had to tell her the truth. I asked Leo if he would ever forgive you. Elara's eyelashes fluttered, and she looked crushed, awaiting my reply. Deep down, she already knew what Leo would have said. "Leo said," I told her, "only if you die." Before he died, he got rid of your name tattooed on his wrist. He erased the gardenias on his chest. He hated gardenias. On the other side, he inked the flowers he truly loved, trumpet vines. He threw away all the gifts you had given him, donated all the money, and burned everything that connected him to you. Do you know why? Slowly, I said, as I watched her eyes go empty, feeling an odd sense of satisfaction. Because he wanted nothing more to do with you. You were filthy, and you made him sick. Leo saw Alex's videos ages ago. He knew about each and every day you spent with your lover, counting down to your breakup. You really thought the countdown on the calendar was him eagerly awaiting your wedding? I suddenly burst into laughter. Ilara looked down, her eyelids twitching violently. I went on. He never really thought about marrying you. The countdown on the calendar was just him marking the days until he could finally leave you. You're a woman who is beyond repair. Why on earth would you think he'd still want to marry you? The woman lowered her eyes, her shoulders slumping in complete defeat. She choked up and said, I always blamed myself for turning Leo into what he is now. I know he did it all for me. It's just that such an environment doesn't allow for someone so naive. The brothers wouldn't accept a brother-in-law who's that innocent. He was never a burden. It was me holding him back. With Alex, I always saw him as Leo. I indulged him, just trying to make up for losing the old Leo back then. I couldn't listen anymore. I laughed coldly. Enough already. Who are you trying to fool? Leo wasn't even dead when you cheated on him. You felt guilty, so instead of making it up to Leo, you found a stand-in? That's hilarious. Leo bore all the pain, but the stand-in gets the apology. Ilara stayed silent, choking back her tears. In my life, from start to finish, I've only ever loved Leo. She trembled as she spoke. Those days, indulging Alex, were just my way of saying goodbye to the past, to the Leo of the past. After marrying him, I was going to dedicate myself entirely to making it up to him. Leo took a knife for me a couple of years back and got hurt. He injured some muscles, and the doctor said it's unlikely he'd ever be as strong as he was. She laughed at herself. I had surgery. I was planning to tell him after the wedding that I might never be able to have kids, that he would be enough for me. I cursed under my breath, disgusted. I laughed again, saying, I guess you did one humane thing in your life. You lost Leo and ended up childless. It's fitting. I stood there in the rain, watching her get what she deserved. Hey, I heard you lost nearly all your places, I asked. You've lost everything, haven't you? Money, friends, everything. That's tough. By the way, Leo wanted me to tell you, all those places that Victor took over were ones that he secretly helped with while he was still alive. He knew all your weaknesses. But Leo was soft-hearted. He couldn't bear to see his brothers, who had followed him for years, fall on hard times. So he made an arrangement with Victor to ensure each and every brother had a way out. They'd be better off with Victor. I laughed. You see, Leo made sure everyone had a path forward, even that stray cat he always fed. Before he left, he gave some money to a local store owner to take care of it. Everyone except for you. You know how much he hated you, right? The rain came down harder, drenching her completely. I walked away under my umbrella. I didn't take a cab. I just walked along the road outside the cemetery. My mind was cluttered with memories, old ones, and the more recent ones with Leo. Leo always said I had a carefree spirit, but once I depended on someone too, and was let down. After that, little by little, I learned to let go. Leo was luckier than I was. He still had a grandmother who loved him, but I had no family. I was an orphan who grew up relying on the kindness of many. Suddenly, my thoughts were interrupted by a speeding car. A black Range Rover broke through the curtain of rain and slammed into a roadside barrier. A loud crash echoed through the quiet street. That license plate, ending in 999. I remembered it. Leo had mentioned it once. It was Ilara's car. I stood there under my umbrella, coldly watching the flames rise from the wreck. Too bad for her. Some passing cars called an ambulance. A well-meaning driver pulled Ilara from the car. I didn't stay to watch. I hailed a cab and left. Because I already knew, no matter the injury, Ilara wouldn't truly live again. Ilara survived, But she found that life was worse than death. The one she loved the most refused to see her, even on his deathbed. The brothers she had once commanded despised her for her cruelty, blaming her for Leo's death. They all left to join Victor's crew. Her business was gone, her money had been given away. The crash didn't take her life, but it took her legs. Alara became truly useless. She didn't even have the courage to end it all. I guess it's because she couldn't face Leo down below. Once, when I was visiting Leo's grave, I saw her there. She wore a long coat, hiding her legs, sitting stiffly in her wheelchair, staring at Leo's grave with an expressionless face. In the wind and snow, she looked like a frozen statue. She stared for a long, long time. Until I left, she never dared to move a step closer. But this might be my last visit to Leo's grave, too. Ever since he was buried, my health has been declining rapidly. Without Leo here, there's no one urging me to take my meds. Sometimes the pain wakes me in the middle of the night. I take a lot of painkillers, over and over again. Finally, on a day when snow fell gently from the sky, my life came to its close. The bare branches of the trees had a light dusting of snow. Everything was white, and the trees seemed to have been reborn. My vision blurred gradually. I seemed to see Leo. He was standing in the snow, reaching out his hand to me. "Walk on, Clara," he said. "Don't be afraid." I closed my eyes, surprisingly at peace with accepting death. I had already prepared my affairs and bought my own plot, very close to Leo's. The tombstone next to mine was put up last year. The guy's photo on it was sharp and handsome, with a dimple on his left cheek when he smiled, looking gentle and sweet. The name on the stone was Ethan. It sounds nice. I think I'll like this new neighbor. Before my consciousness fades completely, I think that after I'm gone, I'll open a tattoo shop in the afterlife. The first thing I'll do is tattoo Leo, who's now become a ghost, with a trumpet vine flower. Because trumpet flowers always remind me of him.